All right, welcome back to the Lion's Den. The Lion's Den. I love that. That was a few people messaged me about that being the name of the new episodes on Wednesday. And I like that because I wanted to stay away from arbitration. I wanted to stay away from anything with my name in it because this is strictly for the CLC as Director of Education. And this was strictly for the CLC. And so I thought the Lion's Den was perfect. And so everybody that sent me messages about the name, what it should be, I loved all of them. The number one by far was from Aid Education. Several people sent that. And so that was the most popular. But I wanted to stay away from Aid Arbitration, anything that sounded like that. And so the Lion's Den. Of course, the CLC is the Lions. And so I thought that was great. And so as soon as somebody sent me that one, I was like, I like that. And then a couple more sent that in as well. So, but a lot of people want to name it, and I appreciate every one of you. Next, we'll have to find my intro music because I had the same intro music last time, and somebody reached out and said, don't have the same intro music. So I agree. I want it to be completely independent. I want it to be completely separate from Aid Arbitration because really it has nothing to do with Aid Arbitration other than I'm doing it. And so it's going to be the Lion's Den. So welcome back to the Lion's Den. And this is where we're going to do education only. And that's it. What I'm going to do is, I had somebody reach out the other day talking about get on the Aid Arbitration episodes on the 6-day counts and kind of put them all together. I like that idea, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that here. I'm going to start out again with that book. I'm just going to read the book again. And I may read it again. And again after that. I may just keep reading that book because 6-day counts is where we're at right now. I'm going to read something to you somebody sent me about this 6-day counts, but I'll just go ahead and read you this and then I'll tell you what I think is happening. It says, Mr. Walton got a question. I'm from Indy, and we had our route inspections last month. They are deleting 12 routes out in the station I'm at. I know a few are very short, but I also noticed the ones they're getting rid of are 8 hours and true routes. Basically, they're cutting too many routes without a carrier's input, which should be considered, but it's going to be very hectic because there are routes that are going 9 or 10 hours, maybe more. Plus, they're going to have 6 or more regulars without a route. Who makes the call for deleting these routes? It's way too many. We're going to have a lot of unassigned regulars, especially ones that have at least 4 more years in. And you're seeing more and more of these things recently. Another one I saw on social media, they had taken 6 routes out of their station, another one 8 routes out, this one 12 routes, and which is surprising because you had TRAP. Right? You had TRAP, both parties looking at these things, and you're going to tell me that TRAP missed a station that should have had 12 routes taken out? TRAP missed a station that should have had 8 routes taken out? TRAP missed a station that should have had 6 routes taken out? No, that's not what happened. This is what's happening. Headquarters is making these people do this, just like at my station. Headquarters send an email. JB intercepted that email and it said that they wanted 32 hours out of Belmead. They hadn't even come in and done anything yet. They hadn't even come in and done a 6-day count. They wanted 32 hours. So headquarters is sending down how much they want. I think they're going to try to get way too many initially. And here's why. The word is that they're going to come out with a joint process in January. That's what I've heard. I had somebody else tell me that the other day that that's what they heard. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, because we are always hush-hush at that level. We don't tell anybody anything. It just sneaks up on us, and we get blindsided. They'll be in training long before us, and they'll be ahead of the curve. But I believe that headquarters is going to try to take out as many routes as possible for this before this new joint route adjustment process comes in. That's what I think. They have nothing to lose. They can take out 12. If they have to put back 11 of them, they've made money. If they take out 8 and have to put back 7, they've made money. If they take out 8 and have to put 8 back in 6 months from now, they've made money. And so I think they're going to come in and they're going to take out way more than they should. way more than they should, because like I said, there's no way possible that you had a joint route adjustment process in TRAP, which was a failure. That's the reason it just exploded and imploded. They didn't even redo the thing, because management took that and just ran it into the ground. But if both sides are looking at data and they're going to go into stations that show one way or the other, you're missing stations that should have had 12 routes taken out, 8 routes, 6 routes. Does that make sense? And that would be part of my contention. And I know that was going to be part of JB's contention if they went through with my route count inspection, but they didn't. They just took an hour and a half out of my station after they said they wanted to take 32 hours. And so JB was going to make that one of his contentions, that TRAP was in effect for however long, didn't see that Belmead was a necessary station to come into, but now all of a sudden headquarters gets involved and 32 hours should be taken out. Something ain't adding up. Something's fishy. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this book over from scratch. Now, here's the thing. If they do a route adjustment process in January, basically all this is going to help you is in the fall, because June, July, and August they can't use. They can't use that data. Now, they can use data now, but June, July, and August, they can't use that data. Okay, so this is really going to just help for the the fall. This is really just helping for the fall. If they come into any stations in the fall, we'll be ready. We'll be educated. I don't think you can educate enough on 6-day counts. Like I said, if you become an expert at 6-day counts, you're doing something. You're doing something, because we can make a lot of money off grievances off of 6-day counts. A lot of money. We've made carriers here in Nashville very wealthy off of 6-day counts because management refuses to do the right thing. Just like taking 12 routes out. They refuse to do right by us. They will never just do right. They will not come in and say, let's just look at the data and see what it shows. They're not going to do that. Same thing they do with TRAP. They had a process, ran it into the ground. We could not come into another agreement with it. 6-day counts, run it into the ground. They're going to do whatever they can to screw us over, and so that's just how it's going to be on 6-day counts. And so at least I can grieve the 6-day count. I can't grieve TRAP. I can't grieve a route adjustment process where both parties have come into an agreement. Just can't do it. As a matter of fact, they're going to write on there that it's not grievable. So I can grieve a 6-day count, and we're going to do that. All right, we're going to educate ourselves here, and we're going to grieve 6-day counts. All right. So we're going to start back over with this book, and I'm going to go straight through it. Not all tonight, but straight through it. However many episodes it takes, we're going to do it that way. And so then in the fall, you can come back and you can listen to all these episodes, just one after the other, okay? And that way we'll have them. If they come into your station, or if they talk about coming into your station, you can get on here, refresh yourself on this 6-day count stuff, and be ready, okay? So we're going to start out from page 1. I made it to page 90. And we're going to go back to page 1. But I want it all being on one thing, and so there's no better way to do that than on the CLC thing with the Lion's Den, all right? Section 1, Principles of Route Inspections. Each route must be adjusted to as near 8 hours as possible. Now, that's where you're going to get a lot of grievances. Just like this individual said that he texted me that. He said these routes are going to be 9, 10, 11 hours long. They know it. We know it. That's how it's going to be. They will suffer that grievance. Management will. They don't care. They will suffer that grievance. And knowing that they're going to take all this time, 6 months, you're going to have the grievance at the informal. You're going to have to wait a period of time to see if they adjusted them properly. That's probably 60 days out. Then you're going to have the grievance. Then you're going to meet on that, request the information, meet at Formal A. They're going to send that up to the DRT. There's a backlog there, no telling when they'll get to it. Then it'll be scheduled for arbitration, and you're looking at upwards into October, November, or December for grievances if you filed them now, okay? So management will suffer that because they're making money when they take out routes. They're making money. And so they'll suffer through that. They don't care. But this is where we'll get most of them. Each route must be adjusted to as near as 8 hours as possible. The most important principle of the route count and inspection process is that each route must be adjusted to as near 8 hours work per day as possible. This principle is clearly stated in Section 242.122 of the M39 Handbook and Section 911.2 of the M41 Handbook as follows. M39 242.122. The proper adjustment of carrier routes means an equitable and feasible division of the work among all the letter carriers assigned to the office. All regular routes should consist of as nearly 8 hours daily work as possible. M41 911.2. The count of mail is used to gather and evaluate data to adjust routes fairly and equitably, to ensure that the workload for each route will be as near as possible to an 8-hour workday for the carrier. And y'all remember I had those arbitration sites I put on earlier episodes on the other podcast where arbitrators considered 8:15. Anything over 8:15 they're going to say is too much. Okay, so you're looking, that's kind of the gauge. If you look at precedents in arbitration sites, about 8 hours and 15 minutes is when they say that a route is out of adjustment if it's over that. Which it is what it is, but you have a station of 30 routes and they make all of them 8:15. That's another route there that we could have gotten. But the consensus is, if you look at the arbitration sites, about 8:15. 2, only the regular carrier's time is used. If a regular carrier is assigned to a route, only that carrier's times can be used to evaluate and or adjust a route. This principle is clearly stated in sections 241.33 and 241.35 of the M39 Handbook as follows. M39 241.33. Bracket the time entries in columns A, B, C, D, and E for the days on which the route was serviced by a replacement carrier or a carrier technician, T6, because these figures are to be excluded when entering the figures on the total lines for columns A, B, C, D, and E. M39, section 241.35, M. M, total lines. Enter on this line the totals of columns A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, excluding the time shown for replacement carrier or carrier technician in columns A, B, C, D, and E. The difference between the totals of columns A and B must equal the difference between the totals of columns C and D. Enter on totals line under total pieces delivered totals of columns 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 for all days. Now y'all got that? I know that sounds confusing. That's a lot of numbers, but when you look at it, 241.35 M totals line. So you just go to the totals line. All right. And then all that stuff goes into effect. So go to the totals line. That's what you're looking for. M39 241.35 N 1 through 4. N averages line. 1. Divide the totals for columns A and B by the number of days for which time is recorded for the regular carrier in each column. 2. Compute average under or over standard office time for regular carrier by dividing the difference between the totals of columns C and D by the number of days on which the route was served by the regular carrier. So all these are putting in here showing that it's emphasizing the regular carrier, that only the regular carrier's time can be used. So that's what these things are showing. Do not include over or under standard time entries for services performed by replacement carrier or carrier technician. 3. If the total over standard is greater than the total under standard, the resulting average will be average over standard and must be entered in column C. If the total under standard is greater than the total over standard, the resulting average will be average under standard and must be entered in column D. Following is an example of how to compute averages when both over and under time exist. 224 under standard less 37 over standard equals 147, or 107 minutes divided by 5, number of days, equals 21 minutes average under standard. Enter in column D. So y'all got that? Y'all want me to read that again? I'll read that again. If the total over standard is greater than the total under standard, the resulting average will be average over standard and must be entered in column C. If the total under standard is greater than the total over standard, the resulting average will be average under standard and must be entered in column D. Following is an example of how to compute averages when both over and under times exist. So 2 hours 24 minutes under standard less 37 over standard equals 1 hour and 47 minutes. Or 107 minutes divided by 5 number of days equals 21 minutes average under standard, entered in column D. 4. Divide the total hours and minutes recorded under net street time used, column E, by the number of days for which time is recorded exclusive of bracketed time used by replacement carrier or carrier technician. Again, that's emphasizing that we're only going to use the regular carrier's time to obtain the average daily street time used. 3. Vacant routes. So what should be done with vacant routes? The answer depends on the particular circumstances of each route. For instance, if there is a regular carrier assigned to a route that isn't present during the week of count for any reason, standard office time and the 1840B street time must be used. This is true because of the language discussed above in section 241.3 of the M39. If there is a vacant route with no carrier assigned to it at all, there must be a qualified replacement carrier assigned to the route in order for the data collected to be accepted as valid. Whether or not a qualified replacement was assigned to a route that is truly vacant has no regular carrier assigned to it during the week of the count is a judgment call that you're going to have to make. Once again, it just depends on the particular circumstances for each route. Let's say you have a carrier that's been holding down the same vacant route for 2 years, and she is assigned to do the route during the week of count. In this example, it would be hard to argue that she wasn't a qualified replacement. On the other hand, let's say a carrier is assigned to a route during the week of count that she does not perform on a regular basis, or if it is common knowledge that the carrier doesn't normally take his or her breaks and or works through lunch. In either of these examples, it would be easy to argue that she wasn't a qualified replacement. 4. Route inspector qualifications. Now this is going to be big for us. Any member of the management team may be used for the inspection of routes. So your supervisors, managers, postmasters, any member of the management team may be used for the inspection of routes. However, station managers and delivery supervisors must be included as members of the route inspection team. All managers used must be thoroughly familiar with the inspection process and shall be held responsible for the accuracy and completeness of all data assembled by them and for its proper evaluation. M39 section 216.1 and section 216.4. M39 216 managers assignments and responsibilities. 216.1. Any member of the management team may be used for the inspection of routes. They must be thoroughly familiar with the inspection procedures and shall be held responsible for the accuracy and completeness of all data assembled by them and for its proper evaluation. 216.2. Each manager who will be engaged in conducting mail counts and route inspections should be furnished in advance of the start of the count A. List of the numbers of the routes assigned to the examiner. B. Day and date selected for the inspection of each route. C. Reporting times of the carriers on the route scheduled for inspection. D. Transportation information. E. Arrangements for lunch on the routes to be inspected. F. Copy of standard operating procedures, flowchart, special instructions for the unit. 216.3. All available city delivery managers must be assigned to participate in this work so that the counts and inspections may be completed at each unit in the shortest possible time. 216.4. In stations and branches, managers and or their assistants and delivery supervisors must be included as members of the route inspection team. However, when their unit is being inspected, they should conduct normal office and street management activities and analyze route inspection data and correct any deficiencies noted. 5. 52-day time limit for adjustments. All route adjustments must be placed in effect within 52 days of the last day of the week of count and inspection unless a valid exception has been granted. This principle is explained in section 211.3 of the M39 handbook as follows. M39 211.3. In selecting the count period, remember that all route adjustments must be placed in effect within 52 calendar days of the completion of the mail count, and no major scheme changes should be made between the period of November 15th and January 1. Exceptions must be approved by the district manager in accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding dated July 21, 1987, related to special count and inspection, city delivery routes. The local union will be notified promptly of any exceptions granted. An important item to consider when granting an exception is the different types of relief laid out in section 243.21b. What is a valid exception? This issue was resolved with national level settlement M1072, which states in relevant part M01072. 1. If the results of any route inspection indicate that the route is to be adjusted, such adjustment must be placed in effect within 52 calendar days of the completion of the mail count in accordance with section 211.3 of the M39 Methods Handbook. Exceptions may be granted by a division general manager only when warranted by valid operational circumstances, substantiated by a detailed written statement which shall be submitted to the local union within 7 days of the grant of the exception. Valid exceptions to the 50-day time limit adjustment have to meet all the following criteria. They must be granted by the district manager. They must be warranted by a valid operational reason. They must be accompanied by a detailed statement explaining the reasons for the exception. Written notice of and the detailed reason for the exception must be provided to the local union within 7 days from the granting of the exception. 6. Multiple days of inspection. Management may schedule a route for inspection on no more than 3 days during the week of route count and inspection. Management will complete the Form 1838C on only one of the days scheduled for inspection. The letter carrier will count the mail and complete the Form 1838C on the other days of inspection. When local management elects to inspect on 2 or 3 days, the Form 3999 closest to the selected street time on the left side of the Form 1840 reverse will be used to transfer territory. These principles are set forth in the Memorandum of Understanding regarding multiple days of inspection contained in the National Agreement. The MOU is produced in its entirety on the next page. Memorandum of Understanding between the United States Postal Service and the National Association of Letter Carriers, AFL-CIO, regarding multiple days of inspection. The following will apply when conducting a 6-day route count and inspection pursuant to Chapter 2 of the M39. Management will, if it determines it necessary when scheduling an inspection to inspect on more than 1 day, inspect on no more than 3 days during the week of count and inspection. If management elects to inspect on 2 or 3 days during the week of count and inspection, management will be responsible for completion of the 1838C one of the days. The letter carrier will count the mail and complete the 1838C on the other days of inspection. When management elects to inspect on 2 or 3 days, the PS Form 3999 closest to the selected street time on the PS Form 1840 will be used to transfer territory. 7. Exclude Saturday on routes with abbreviated or no Saturday delivery. Saturday is excluded from the count week on routes with abbreviated or no delivery on Saturday. This principle is stated in Section 221.11 of the Handbook M39 and Section 921.21 of the M41 Handbook as follows. M39 221.11 schedule. The count of mail on all letter delivery routes, regular and auxiliary, must be for 6 consecutive delivery days on one-trip routes and for 5 consecutive delivery days exclusive of Saturday on 2-trip routes or one-trip routes with abbreviated or no delivery on Saturday. It is not mandatory that mail counts begin on Saturday and continue through Friday so long as they are made on consecutive delivery days. M41 921.2 schedule. 921.21 the count of mail period on all letter delivery routes, both regular and auxiliary, shall be A, for 6 consecutive delivery days on one-trip routes, and B, for 5 consecutive delivery days exclusive of Saturdays on multi-trip routes or one-trip routes with abbreviated or no delivery on Saturday. 921.22 it is not mandatory that mail counts begin on Monday and continue through Saturday, but they must be made on consecutive delivery days. Now, you'll have to watch out because they have to throw out abbreviated days on Saturday because a lot of people have closed business. They're not out there delivering a full route on Saturday because they have abbreviated delivery. What management will attempt to do, if you're not paying attention, is they'll say, since we have to take out Saturday, we're also going to take out Monday because you're taking all this mail out on Monday. It's not a true representation of your route because all this closed business on Saturday has to be taken out on Monday. So that's going to escalate your times on Monday. So we're not going to consider that one either. There's nothing in any handbook or manual that supports that. There's nothing in any handbook or manual that supports management taking out Monday so that they can kind of offset Saturday. Be careful with that. There's clear language that abbreviated delivery on Saturday will not be considered. There's nothing in any handbook or manual that talks about Monday will be taken out as well. Okay, so be careful with that. We've caught them doing that numerous times around here in Nashville, right? 8, discipline for not making standards. Office time. No letter carrier can be disciplined for simply not making standards. There must be a showing of unsatisfactory effort. This showing must be based on documented, unacceptable conduct that led to the carrier's failure to meet office standards. M39, Section 242.332. M39, 242.332. No carrier shall be disciplined for failure to meet standards except in cases of unsatisfactory effort, which must be based on documented, unacceptable conduct that led to the carrier's failure to meet office standards. Street time. There are no street standards. In national level settlement M304, the parties agreed there is no set pace at which a carrier must walk and no street standard for walking. This language was reinforced in the September 16, 2011 national level settlement M1769. The relevant language from these two settlements is shown below. M304. In keeping with the principle of a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, it is understood that there is no set pace at which a carrier must walk and no street standard for walking. M1769. There is no set pace at which a carrier must walk and no street standard for walking. These settlements are reproduced in their entirety on the next 2 pages. And I'm not going to read those again to you because I just read the important parts of it, all right? 12. 9. Canceling route inspections. Management may cancel a route inspection if the cancellation is not for the entire unit. Management is required to discuss the cancellation with the carriers concerned. If the cancellation is for the entire unit, it must be discussed with the shop steward. M39, Section 233. M39, 233, canceling inspection. 233.1. When the continuation of any inspection would serve no useful purpose, the inspection may be canceled at management's discretion. A cancellation may apply to an entire delivery unit or to one or more routes of a group of routes being inspected. 233.2. Following are some items which could bring about consideration for cancellation. A. Natural disasters or extreme weather conditions. B. unscheduled extended absence of the full-time carrier coupled with the absence of a qualified replacement. To the extent reasonable and practicable, the regular carrier assigned to the route shall undergo the inspection. C. Unrealistic mail volume, either abnormal or subnormal, which could prohibit a fair evaluation of the route. D. Unavailability of public transportation where normally used by carriers. 233.3. Any cancellation made must be discussed with the carrier concerned, giving the reasons. When the cancellation is for the entire unit, the discussion must be with the unit steward. Section 2. Before the week of count and inspection, the postmaster or designee is responsible for seeing that advanced preparations are made for mail counts and route inspections and that they are coordinated with all managers concerned. M39 section 212.1. M39 212, responsibility for advanced preparations. 212.1. The postmaster or designee is responsible for seeing that advanced preparations are made for mail counts and route inspections and that they are coordinated with all managers concerned. 1. Unit and route review. On at least an annual basis, management is required to make a route and unit review. M39 section 211.1. M39 211.1. In order to achieve and maintain an appropriate daily workload for delivery units and routes, management will make at least annual route and unit reviews consisting of analysis of items listed in section 214. And work hours, volumes, and possible deliveries, items listed in section 213 may also be utilized in the review. These reviews will be utilized to verify adjustments which have been taken by management or need to be taken by management in order to maintain efficient service. The results of the review will be shared with the local NELC president or designee and the regular letter carriers serving the routes that require adjustment. In some units, it may be necessary to proceed with the mail counts and route inspections on one or more routes. These inspections will be conducted between the first week of September and May 31st, excluding December. I'm going to read this again, and here's why. You've got headquarters sending down directives. I want these routes out. 8 routes, 6 routes, 12 routes. Okay? Somebody has failed us if we have come into a 6-day count and we are 12 routes short. If you're looking at taking out 12 routes, okay, if you're looking at taking out 8 routes, somebody has failed us along the way. If you have just decided we're coming into 6-day counts, look at this station, yeah, they're 12 routes short. That just doesn't jive with me. I would contact my TRAP person, and this is what JB did with me. Contact your TRAP person and say, hey, when y'all are looking at the data, did my station ever come up as being one that y'all needed to come into? And have them write you a statement. You know, Belmead Station, we evaluated routes for a year and a half. At no time did Belmead Station come up on our radar that they needed to be adjusted. Get that statement, especially these stations that are taking 12 routes, 8 routes, 6 routes. Get those statements from your TRAP person. If you have your district lead, if you can get to your business agent and have them say they looked at the data for this station and it did not show that they needed to have an adjustment, then how is it that if you're supposed to do these unit and route reviews on an annual basis, y'all missed that my station was light 12 routes that needed to be taken out? Does that make sense? I would go to TRAP, whoever did mine, and say, at any time during the process, did y'all consider coming into my station based off of what y'all saw? Nope, your station looked good to us. Give me a statement to that effect. I'm going to put that in my file when we're talking about these routes. All right, when you talk about this grievance, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to read this again, because I'm also going to hold management accountable here, and I'm going to say that at no time did management follow M39 211.1. At no time did they give an annual review and get your branch president to write you a statement. 211.1, in order to achieve and maintain an appropriate daily workload for delivery units and routes, management will make at least annual route and unit reviews consisting of an analysis of items listed in Section 214 and work hours, volumes, and possible deliveries. Items listed in Section 213 may also be utilized in the review. These reviews will be utilized to verify adjustments which have been taken by management or need to be taken by management in order to maintain efficient service. The results of the review will be shared with the local NELC president or designee. So I'm going to ask my president, did management at any time come to y'all with these route and unit reviews? Did management at any time come in there and give y'all that? No. Get a statement from your branch president. At no time did management do a unit route review with us. At no time did TRAP consider coming in here, but now all of a sudden we're 12 routes short. Okay? So that's M39 211.1. M39 section 214 lists the minimum items to be reviewed and analyzed. Any unsatisfactory conditions found during the review should be corrected prior to the week of route count inspection. So here's 214 that it was talking about prior, okay? M39 214, review of operating procedures. All operations at the delivery unit should be reviewed and any unsatisfactory conditions should be corrected before the count is commenced. The review should include at least A, letter routes. 1. Schedule reporting and leaving times in relation to arrival time of mail at the unit and public transportation schedules. 2. Adequacy of carrier case equipment and condition of carrier case labels. See Exhibit 126.5, review of carrier case and work area. Volume of preferential mail received on each dispatch prior to the carrier's leaving time. Amount of misthrown mail distributed to carriers. 5. Whether all approved segmentations of mail are being made up in the most efficient manner practicable. 6. Handling of accountable and signature mail by carriers at central markup offices. At the largest installations receiving a large volume of accountable and signature mail for delivery, local managers may make an exception allowing carriers to mark up this mail if accountable clerks are unable to expedite rehandling of the pieces and clearing carriers of proper responsibility. 7. Review of carrier route book to determine if A. Form 1564A, all items completed. B. Forms 1564B and 3982, posted on a current basis. See Exhibit 126.5. C. Edit book and Form 1621, completed to show current number of deliveries. See Exhibit 128.21, Delivery Management Report. 8. Review DPS handling procedures. 2. Share results of unit and route review with union carriers. Management is required to share the results of the unit and route reviews with a local NELC president or designee. Management must also share the results of the reviews with regular carriers serving any routes that require adjustment. M39 section 211.1. M39 section 211.1. In order to achieve and maintain an appropriate daily workload for delivery units and routes, management will make at least annual route and unit reviews consisting of analysis of items listed in section 214 and work hours, volumes, and possible deliveries. Items listed in section 213 may also be utilized in the review. These reviews will be utilized to verify adjustments which have been taken by management or need to be taken by management in order to maintain efficient service. The results of the review will be shared with local NELC president or designee and the regular letter carrier serving the routes that require adjustment. In some units, it may be necessary to proceed with mail counts and route inspections on one or more routes. These inspections will be conducted between the first week of September and May 31st, excluding December. So there again, 211.1. Shop stewards, make sure we get statements from all the carriers saying that did not happen. They came in, they took out 12 routes. At no time did we were given a unit and route review saying that, hey, our station's looking light. At no time was our postmaster, no time was our branch president made aware. Okay? So get statements from all the carriers supporting that. At no time did management come up to us with a unit and route review. Get one from your branch president, and also get one from your TRAP person. All right? And I'd put that in these files that management violated 211.1 and those that I talked about earlier. Branch presidents or their designees should remain alert to and enforce this requirement. If route count inspections have been scheduled but no unit and route review results have been shared, investigate and grieve if necessary. That's going to be critical, especially for these stations that are taking all these routes out. Because headquarters is going to send out crazy numbers. And they're going to make management fit that square peg into a round hole. That's what's fixing to happen, just like with these 12 routes. They know that 12 routes shouldn't come out, but they're going to come in, they're going to take all that they can, make us fight to put them back. They'll save a lot of money doing it, and then you're going to run into this probably joint route adjustment process in January. The specific items that must be reviewed include processes that can have a significant impact on letter carriers' working conditions. For instance, casing equipment or labels may be inadequate or in poor condition. If so, the unit and route review should bring any unsatisfactory conditions to management's attention in a formal way. If management refuses to correct situations like this, investigate, document the case, and grieve as appropriate. Branch officers should be aware that letter carriers were advised in Chapter 1 of the NALC Route Protection Program that the unit and route review constitutes an opportunity for them to discuss any unsatisfactory conditions with their managers. They are also advised to contact their shop stewards if they are scheduled for route count and inspections, but management has not shared the results of the prior unit and route review with them, and that's a contention we're going to make. 3. Schedule the count and inspection period in advance. Management is required to determine the period selected for the week of route count and inspection as far in advance as possible and notify the union of the advanced schedule. If management later changes the period, the local union should be notified and the revised schedule as far in advance as practicable. M39 Section 211.2. M39 211.2. The period selected for the mail count and route inspection should be determined as far in advance as possible, and the local union should be notified of this schedule. If it is necessary to change the period, the local union should be notified of the revised schedule as far in advance as practicable. As a general principle, it is the union's interest to receive such notification in writing. While the language in Section 211.2 of the M39 handbook does not specify how the notification must be made, normal and customary business practice would call for written notification. If management gives only verbal notification, branch officers could consider documenting the notification by written request for confirmation. And so that's going to be it for this episode. That's 45 minutes. That's probably about as long as I want to go on Wednesdays. Some may take me longer than that, but generally about 45 minutes. And then next week we're going to get back into it. And we're just going to keep going until I get this book done, finally. All right. So this is twice I'm going to read through this book. But it's critical right now. You know, they're coming in, bombarding us with these 6-day counts, taking out an unreasonable amount of hours out of these stations. And so I'm sure your business agents are also involved with this stuff, and they've probably reached out to everybody about these 6-day counts. But it's headquarters doing it. It's headquarters sending out these emails that they want these routes taken out. You're talking about street waiting time or killing routes. We're catching those things, but they're going to get the routes. They're going to come in and take these routes. Okay? We got to fight to get them back. We got to fight to get them back. And that's what we'll do. All right? We're going to keep reading out of this book, educate yourself, and we may read it again. We may read it again because I want experts out there on the workroom floor dealing with route count inspections. They come in with these asinine numbers, 12 routes, 8 routes, 6 routes. We're going to punish them when they do that. We're going to file grievances and ask for, back in the day, it was $10 a calendar day until they made them right, you know. And if you can get any emails, like JB intercepted that, if you can get any email saying that we're going to take this amount of time, or if you can get a postmaster to say, hey, they're looking at taking out this amount of time, and you can get that on the record, beautiful. Beautiful. That goes to arbitration. It shows the arbitrator, hey, they came in before even counting a piece of mail and decided they were going to take 12 routes out. And that's exactly what they did. All right. And that's what happened in that case at Woodbine that I keep talking about, where the manager, the numbers showed 3 routes, and he came in and told the 204B we're taking out 6 routes, and they took out 6 routes. And we got every carrier in there paid $11,000 because of that. Okay. So if you can get a manager, postmaster, supervisor to say, hey, they've told us they're going to take out 12 routes or 6 routes or 8 routes, and it's a week before the 6-day count, get that on the record. All right? Get that on the record. That's good stuff. All right, so thank y'all for tuning into the Lion's Den. I like that. As soon as I saw it, I knew that was what it's going to be. The Lion's Den. That's good stuff. I'm going to bed. I've yawned a lot in this episode. I apologize for that, but it's late, and I'm old. And so when you're old and it's late, you yawn a lot and you get tired. And I worked today. It was very hot, and so I'm ready to go to bed. But anyway, I love you very much. I love the city letter carrier with all my heart. All right, and so this is worth it to me. To educate, if we can save 1 route, it's worth it. Okay, because we're up against some people that do not like us. They do not like us, and they're going to do everything within their power to get us. All right. So I love you. I'll talk to y'all next Wednesday on the Lion's Den. We're going to keep going on the 6-day count. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.